What is up, gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Shadi TV. On today's episode, I wanted to discuss the importance of practicing a martial art and incorporating that into your daily fitness regimen. We'll look at why martial arts are so important from a holistic perspective. So not only from a physical and fitness perspective, but also mentally, physically, spiritually, what they can do for you, how they can enhance your life, and the ways that your martial arts practice can actually enhance other areas of your life that you may not think are actually possible at this stage. Then we'll look at the different martial arts that are out there, how to think of each one and ultimately pick the one that is right for you. Then we'll actually look at how to actively go about starting a martial arts program, how to take that first step into going down that path that you may be scared to take, or you may be extremely unsure of how to get started even in. I'll give you guys my personal experience as someone that had zero combat practice, someone who'd never been in a fight, never thrown a punch before a year and a half, and fundamentally how this has changed my life. Start off by emphasizing martial arts is not about learning to beat people up. It's not about learning to be aggressive. It's not the practice of enforcing will and power and whatever it is on others. Martial arts is an inner discipline. It's a discipline of the self. It's a way to cultivate who you truly are and to build the best parts of yourself. When it comes to the benefits, right? What are the benefits that we typically practice or we experience? Sure, the first one, we all know that martial arts are extremely difficult. They are rigorous. Whether you're practicing Muay Thai, whether you're practicing boxing, karate, taekwondo, each of these martial arts is going to require a tremendous amount of physical prowess. And you may start at day one in a position where you're a complete newbie. You don't have the cardio, you don't have the coordination, you don't have the physical agility, but through repetition, you're going to be forced to build up that physical endurance. You're going to be forced to get your cardio up. You're going to be forced to get your orientation, your actual ability to move your limbs, to move in sync with your limbs. And as you watch yourself grow physically, that's going to seep into other areas of life and give you just that extra bit of mental confidence, that mental boost that you're going to need to excel in other areas of your life. You also need to understand that martial arts, whether it is boxing or whether it's Muay Thai, is a very mentally taxing activity. It's not a passive activity. It's not an activity where you go into the ring or you go into a sparring session or you hit the pads and you're not thinking about what you're doing. You need to be completely switched on. Whether you're doing a session at 5 a.m. in the morning or you're doing it after work, you need to be insanely switched on. The disadvantage of not being switched on, or the cost of not being switched on, is you get punched in the face or you get kneed or you get kicked. So there are significant consequences to your lack of presence. That mental sharpness that you build up over time, learning how to jab, how to parry, knowing how to move around the ring, and knowing when to hit, knowing when to move back. This mental sharpness actually actively builds up other areas of your life. You also have to understand that there is a confidence boost to knowing that when push comes to shove, you're able to completely defend yourself and those around you. The ability to defend yourself is something that we take for granted. We don't really understand the importance of it because we live in a society where we accept and we expect that everyone is going to be completely civilized. And sure, this is a positive up until a certain sense, but we all know this and we've heard of these scenarios before where anything can happen at any time, and the failure to prepare is a preparation to fail in that context. Knowing that you can defend yourself, knowing that you can take on 1, 2, 3 people, whatever it may be in a given scenario because you've put in the time, you put in the work, just gives you that ability to move through the world with an added confidence that you can't get from anything else. You can't get it from money, you can't get it from XYZ, you can't get it from dressing better, you just get it better from knowing that I can take care of myself in this given scenario. You also have to understand that there is a stress relief aspect to practicing martial arts. It's a way of energy expenditure. It's a positive source of releasing built up tension that you accrue during the day, during your relationships, during your business life, and it allows you to have a healthy outlet to actually express yourself in a way that's moving you forward, not holding you back. It's not a way of losing time. It's a way of gaining time, if anything, because what you're doing is you're stacking valuable skills that you'll be able to use. Last thing is the ability to defend oneself. So this ties into the confidence boosting aspect, but now let's look at the practicality of it. At some point, you may or not be challenged into a situation that you want to get out of. Knowing that you're able to defend yourself gives you that carte blanche to be able to be extremely grounded in a specific approach, to be very firm on a value, to be very strict with yourself and with others, and to not be able to be taken advantage of. You'll be able to know when to put your foot down and to when to let things slide. You'll have that judgment because you understand that you have the ability to back that up. That comes with the technical skills that you learn as you learn to defend yourself. So when it comes to selecting the right martial art for you, there's no blueprint that you can use, and there's no right or wrong option, despite what Instagram might say or what TikTok might say. And I'm no personal expert in this, but I have been practicing boxing for the last year and a half. What I love about boxing is the confidence it gives you with your hands, the intelligence, the actual fighting intelligence it gives you to circle around the ring, to know when to jab, to know when to duck, to know how to move, to know how to move your head, to know when to fake, to know when to throw a jab, when to throw a cross. That technical aspect is something that I really appreciate. What I find to be the most practical, maybe Muay Thai. Muay Thai gives you the best of all of the martial arts practices in a sense. It gives you the ability to throw punches, it gives you the ability to throw elbows, it gives you the ability to throw knees, kicks, it gives you the ability to headbutt. You learn very, very well what you can do with all of your limbs. And it's a sport that is just very versatile in its appeal. Jiu-Jitsu is also a great option. So Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a very technical option, and God help the person that gets into a grappling match with someone who's trained in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. The ability to just lock in your opponent, to get them to tap, to get them to submit is something that not only requires a tremendous amount of physical fortitude, but mental fortitude. So whether you prefer Muay Thai, whether you prefer boxing, whether you prefer Taekwondo, the option is to just give each and every single one of these combat sports the research that it deserves. Find out what your personal goals are. Is your personal goal just basic self-defense? Then maybe Muay Thai might be a better option. Are you more interested in the technicality of the sport and you want to fall in love with the sport? Then maybe boxing is the better option. If you're more interested in competition and the ability to grapple in close quarters, in close combat, then Jiu-Jitsu might be the better option for you. There are a lot of other people that are more qualified to talk about these topics than I am, but I'll give you guys my personal opinion. I'm a huge fan of boxing. It's a good balance of self-defense. You're able to really take care of yourself. It's very physically demanding, and it gives you the ability to practice alone. So you don't need a sparring partner like Jiu-Jitsu. You can hit the bag, you can practice drills, you can do shadow boxing, and you can also practice with a partner, whether that's through sparring, whether you have a coach that's able to give you through mitt work or pad work, or you can hit the bag, the speed ball, or the reflex bag. How to get started? I'll give you guys my personal experience on how I personally get started. For the longest time, I had this itching sensation, this itching feeling that I was missing something from my arsenal. I had not been challenged thus far in my life in the way that I wanted to be challenged, which is physically. Sure, I had pushed myself in my business. I had pushed myself as much as I could to grow my business, to put in the time, the effort, to be smart, to be very, very wise about the decisions I was taking. But I found that in my physical practices that I was lacking that aggressiveness. I was lacking that aggression that martial arts brought with it. I was lacking that fear, that almost like pushing myself to the edge of my capabilities, doing things that were terrifying to me that I lacked. So one day I took a decision. I asked a friend, do you have any ideas? Do you have any contacts that I can actually connect with to get trained in boxing or martial art or Muay Thai or Jiu-Jitsu? He gave me a contact, and the first thing I did was I showed up. I signed up to the gym and I showed up to the introductory class, and I went through the motions. I put my ego aside, because if I tell you how horrible I was the first time that I showed up to the class, I could not have even imagined how bad I was going to be. I could not imagine how out of place I felt. And as someone who was so used to feeling competent in my business, doing the things that I knew best, being so out of touch with throwing the right combinations, making the right moves, actually feeling so gassed out despite thinking that I was someone that was physically fit was extremely humbling. And the idea that you're going to go in and you're going to tap everyone out, or you're going to get a knockout, or you're not ever going to get punched in the face, this is something that you have to immediately throw aside. Be humble in your approach and understand that it's not a 5-month thing. It's not a 6-month thing. It is a lifelong path. I'm only a year and a half into it, and I've been training 4 times a week. And I feel like I haven't even scratched or reached the tip of the iceberg here. So find a local gym, do your research about what the quality of the members are. Are the members going to be helpful for you? Are they going to be people that you're going to get along with, because you're going to be sparring with these people? You're going to be seeing them consistently. You want to make sure that the membership side of the gym that you're joining is something that you want to be a part of. 2, if you could connect with a coach, it is something that is well worth doing. Martial arts is a very technical endeavor, and the ability to get access to an expert that can give you one-on-one personalized coaching, personalized training is tremendously useful, because you can watch all of the YouTube experts, you can watch all the martial arts gurus online, but there's just something about having someone there in person to not only motivate you, but to correct you technically, to tell you if you're throwing your jab incorrectly. How do you throwing that right hook? How are you throwing that uppercut? Being able to give you on-the-go feedback is going to be tremendously encouraging over time. In the beginning, it may be difficult because every single punch you throw for the first 6 months, you're going to feel and you're going to be told is completely out of space. But a patient coach is going to be consistent in giving you feedback time and time again until you correct yourself. And you need to be diligent to be able to accept that feedback. It may not be easy, especially if you're someone who has an ego, if you're someone that is very satisfied where they are in life. Throwing yourself into a completely different pond or a completely different ocean may be disheartening. You may quickly see the shortcomings that you weren't aware of in yourself. You may see that you're not as athletic as you thought you once were. So being able to accept criticism and learn from that and grow from that is one of the key ways that you stay consistent over time. Last thing is fit it into your schedule. Don't have a sporadic training regimen. If you say, oh, I'm gonna train 3 times a week, but I might train on Monday, I might train on Friday, I might train on this, and then I'll play it by ear as the weeks go along, you'll find out that you may be able to be consistent for the first week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, but over time, you haven't set your schedule up in a way that allows you to slot in the necessary time to go ahead with your training. What I like to do is I like to dedicate the times, whether it's in the morning or at night, consistently every single week in order to train. I tell myself I'll be training Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday at 6 a.m. in the morning, and no matter what, I will always attend, and I arrange my schedule around that. I prioritize this. I understand how much of an impact my martial arts training is going to have and how much it's going to benefit me in all aspects of my life, and I arrange my schedule around that. Sure, sometimes I have to have some form of leeway, maybe I have to cancel here or there, but I try to stay as consistent as possible to my training. The last thing is, when it comes to martial arts, guys, understand that the path is not linear. It is a tremendously difficult endeavor, and one that is so fundamentally rewarding to who we are as people. And this is something that I promise you, you're not going to be able to pick up in 6 months. You're not going to be able to pick up in 12 months. This is going to be a decade, or if not decades long practice. But the consistency that you build up, the discipline that you build up, the ability to show up every single day despite whether you're feeling like it or you're not, that discipline builds up a mental fortitude in you that reaps benefits in all areas of your life. Understand that you're going to have your ups and your downs, and if you expect a trajectory that is exponentially upwards, you're going to be disappointed. Expect to get hurt, expect to be put in uncomfortable situations. Consistently choose to challenge yourself, push yourself beyond your limits. Always be willing to go to your edge and just 1 or 2 steps beyond that. Push your horizons and watch the person that you become over time. Watch as you become more grounded in who you are simply through a physical practice like martial arts. Guys, let me know if you've ever considered martial arts, if you actually do practice a martial art. If not, if so, which one specifically, and if you guys have any tips for anyone looking to get into the practice. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please consider smashing a massive thumbs up. It really does help out of the channel. Also, keep checking back. We have a ton of videos. Right now, we have over 100 videos on the channel. If you have any suggestions for future episodes, let me know in the comments below. I always enjoy hearing from you guys. From the very bottom of my heart, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Shadi TV. Until next week's episode, stay awesome.